What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity bumper. What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity bumper.
What is going on, guys? Today is a milestone. Finally, I am done with my game room. Well, as done as it can be, right? Game rooms are a never-ending project. But for those who don't know, I bought a new house in October of last year. I've been working on the game room ever since. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll notice that usually I'm talking in front of all my games. But here recently, I've been talking in my new office, which I will touch on in the video because this room is awesome. That said, it is time for the game room tour. Man, I am so excited. I have been working really hard on this room, and it's finally to the point where I think is acceptable to share, and so I'm going to share it with you. I'm also going to share some of my ideas and some of the stuff I did, because I'm also very budget conscious when it comes to decorations and things of that nature, because all the money you save on storage is money going right back in the collection. So that said, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's talk about my new game room. Let's show this thing off. This is the 2022 brand new, made from scratch, built this game room tour. So hey, let's go. As I'm going through the tour of my game room, I'm also going to share some tips of stuff that I like to do when I'm kind of setting stuff up. And one thing for sure is any framed poster, and by the way, please frame all your posters, I like to put on the wall with the command strips rather than putting holes in my wall, because no one likes holes. But that said, you can kind of put a lot of your stuff up there using these in a nice level and measuring stuff out rather than putting a whole bunch of holes in, screwing through, trying to find studs. But anyway, this is my main entryway. So as you see, you have a bunch of posters, a bunch of movie stuff. And the reason I have so much movie stuff is I have repurposed this linen closet to rather be my movie closet. And I don't know if you guys are fans, but I'm a big Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan. And of course, well, I'm a big movie fan in general. But anyway, this is kind of the movie area, and it goes right into the bathroom, which, like, why would I show the bathroom? Like, it's boring, except for the best shower curtain ever. And really, the only reason I wanted to show this place off at all, besides this awesome shower curtain, is that crazy friggin' shower head. Like, come on. Like, that thing is massive. Friggin' spaceship looking. Oh, yeah. So this is actually a recent idea that I had. I am a big-time record collector, and obviously video game soundtracks are awesome. And the thing is they also double as really great art. I mean, you can see here that I got some really kind of, the covers are beautiful. And I got the idea to pick up these floating shelves from Ikea. They are very cheap. In fact, most of the stuff I've done in my game room is more on the reasonable side, mainly because, well, all the money you save on decorating goes right back into the collection, but you also don't want it to look bad, right? And that's where these came in. These shelves are fantastic. They actually have a little notch in them that's great for these records because they sit in, giving them all the same exact angle, so you don't need to worry about them kind of slipping out either because they all sit in that notch. But I mean, I got some really cool ones here, and the neat thing is originally some of these were in like those record frames and then hung on the wall. And now I don't need to do that. Plus, if I get more records or just want to swap them out, I can just do it that easily. Once again, I got these shelves from Ikea. They're super cheap. I mean, like, I wanted to say they're like $10 each or something like that. And even the smaller ones might have been even cheaper. But man, great idea. If you are a video game vinyl collector, it's a really good way to display your pieces. Now, moving further into the game room, I have these shelves, and I'm telling you, I am super proud of how these turned out. This looks really awesome, to me anyway, this display, and I'm gonna tell you, it was very inexpensive to do. The lit shelves and everything. And it's a great way to display all of your different things. I have some handhelds and some cool stuff on here. So let's zoom in a little bit and get a closer shot of this thing. And I'm going to tell you what all these components are and kind of how I made this setup. So going through this area, starting from right to left, I have the limited edition micro Game Gear set. that you had to import from Japan, chainsaw controller for Resident Evil, the Pip-Boy. But then you go through and I have all these cubes, and I kind of set each one up to be something kind of specific. So I have this kind of little Mario cube here where I have my Game Boy Horror and my anniversary version of the Game Boy Micro. I kind of have this little Majora's Mask section, kind of a Dragon Warrior type thing. And also, I thought this would be a great place to put all of the mini consoles I have. So I have the Astro City, the very bad purchase of the PlayStation Classic, and the Neo Geo Mini. Down here, just have a little bit more Zelda stuff. Here, this is actually the receiver for my surround sound speakers for the back two, and I have my little TurboGrafx Mini. So it has these lights on it, and it's just this little square case. I'm going to explain in a second where I got them and how much they were. But just to continue on, I have one of my 2 VHS racks. These are all my video game VHSs. If you haven't seen them, I've actually been turning these digital and putting them on the channel. So all of these, anyway, most of them have already been done. And down here we just have some other movies that I like. This, however, is a display from GameStop. They just gave it to me. I asked them for it and they gave it to me. The Nintendo vinyl on the side, actually I got myself from a friend of mine who made it. And I use this thing to store my handhelds. So I have, a couple Working Designs games in the bottom, but then I have all of these different Game Boys. I have this custom built one I did for the like a Famicom version. Of course, the NES one is legitimate, and the Char Game Boy, which goes with the Char Gamecube I have, along with a couple games. Moving up, you of course have a Game Boy Pocket, Mega Man Battle Network, one of my favorite series ever, and then I imported the Mega Man Battle Network version of the Game Boy Advance from Japan, and another Pocket. Then some miscellaneous stuff, a couple of Neo Geo Pocket games, and my Neo Geo Pocket that I custom painted and put a backlit screen in myself, and then another more expensive Neo Geo Pocket game. Further up, we have those Game & Watches that just came out, a Wonder Swan, because why not? A couple more Game Boy Advance things. This is a Super Famicom version of a Game Boy Advance. Basically, I reshelled this myself. And then last but not least, I have my Magic Ray Earth Game Gear and the games for it, including another box game of Sonic Drift, and just the boxes for those, really cool little micros that I showed earlier. Now on top, I have this Nintendo Game Boy sign. This is a reproduction, and it lights up. It's really nice, and I got it actually on eBay for really cheap. Like I said, it's a reproduction, so very inexpensive, but very cool. It kind of makes the whole thing look pretty sweet. And I also have a couple, pieces of art. This is my most prized thing hanging on any wall, and that is an actual official Mega Man Legends 3 poster from Comic-Con. This is legit. It has the actual, rating pending. This is from New York Comic-Con, weeks before this game was canceled. I've actually never, ever seen another one, and this is my holy grail. Other than that, I have a couple of these great video game shadow boxes. They actually have the AR code on them, so you can scan them and the scene plays, which is very cool. But then, going down to my other shelf, the top shelf I have dedicated to all of my video game Legos. I actually have videos of all 3 of these being built in fast motion on the channel, but I do have the NES TV with the, the TV, the NES, and you kind of crank it and it plays. Most recently, in fact, just a couple weeks ago, I filmed building the Sonic one, and then of course the Nintendo 64 block, which I built and did a video on last October when it came out. But continuing on to that, we have this version of the shelf. So we have a little bit of Sonic action going on here with the McDonald's toys, the Amiibo, and this is new old stock. This is the Sega Welcome to the Next Level pin from the 90s, back when that was their kind of advertising campaign. Moving on, we have some really neat stuff. Rob the Robot. He's holding a water bottle from the Star Wars part of Disney. And then I kind of have this cool thing dedicated to old Mario stuff. I have a couple of old Mario toys, including the Mario World video game watch and an official team-powered Nintendo Power pin. Once again, new old stock. And then I kind of mirrored what I did on the other one. I have some more of the mini consoles. So I have the NES Classic, the Genesis Classic, which is one of my favorite mini consoles they've made. the Super Nintendo Classic. Down here, I have my original Digivice from when I was a kid, and then 2 reproduction ones, because they actually did those recently, and they were like super cheap for some reason. Then I just have a Time Crisis 3 Gun-Con, because why not? And the little Banjo-Kazooie plush thingy that they had. I think they sent some of these out to Best Buys, and that's where I got mine, rather than getting it on Fangamer themselves. But anyway, now, what's up with these shelves? How can you get shelves like this for, you know, a reasonable price? Well, let me tell you right now. So, the full thing with these shelves is the lights are on, but also I have this slick little remote where you can boop, turn them off, boop, turn them on, boop, turn them off. So, usually 2 shelves like this, right? There are 9 compartments each, so, you know, it's a lot of space. These lights are really neat. You know, I don't know what the going rate would be, but I can tell you that I built all of this for, not including this stand, because the you know, that was given for free from GameStop, so I can't really, you know, quantify that. But not including that, just including these 2 and the lights and everything, under $100. These are these little 3x3 square shelves you can get at Target. I believe when I got them, they were like $35 each. They took, you know, maybe an hour to build, not a big deal. Now these lights are actually touch lights. You turn them on and off by pressing them. Boop, boop. And I got them from Ikea. They actually come in a 3-pack. So I think they came in a 3-pack. Either way, they were like nothing, like $6 for like a set of 3. So I'm wanting to say that I maybe got $12 in the lights. And then comes this thing. So this is a little on-off power switch that I bought from Amazon, and I think I got it for about $10. So I went on Amazon. It's all behind this. The power, of course, is behind this cabinet, so it's all hidden. You can't see it. But I have the power strip go straight into these lights, which are all USB. Go straight into it, and then, you know, turn off, turn on. And it's really cool, really cheap way to kind of, you know, light up your stuff. And really, you could buy more of those lights and put them on every shelf. I just thought the top was good enough for me. But once again, I'm doing this to kind of share a little bit of my strategy when building the game room, because this was a really cool idea, and it was also very inexpensive, and I feel like anyone could do this in their game room for just as easy as I did. While we're on the subject of those shelves, I'm going to show you another example of them. These are the same exact shelves, same from Target. They're actually a little bit cheaper because, as you can see, there's 2 shelves here, and they're 2x3. And, you know, I only did that because in my old game room, I only had room for the 2x3s. So, you know, I basically just reused those. But I like to use these for my controllers. And you can see here that I have them all organized by console. For the most part, I did just plug in those PlayStation ones there recently just to get a game off for some recording. But yeah, that's how I kind of split it up. And then why not use it as a display also? So I have one of those PlayStation game drawers that I have put games in, of course. You know, fun laptop with a bunch of stickers from my friends and people that I've done stuff with on the channel. And of course, some other neat stuff like really weird rare controllers like the Katana controller for the PS2 or the fishing rod for the Dreamcast. Of course, you can't forget the Lethal Enforcers, right? I mean, he's looking at you. At you pretty intense. But anyway, like I said, these things are great for controllers. You can really kind of organize your stuff really good. And another thing I really like about these for my controllers and stuff is they have these kind of sticky drawer things you can buy and put on the bottom. And so actually I use this to hide the remote for my FrameMeister. And the one over there just has some random junk in it. But once again, more ways to kind of maximize your space. These shelves were very cheap. And originally I had these in a closet. In fact, I'm sure most people, if you're building a game room, would probably put these in a closet. But I just happen to have enough space down here that I like to have them just at my fingertips. But anyway, that is just another piece of the puzzle that is my game room. Now, I've done an entire video on this on the channel already, but there was one casualty in the move, and that was my Neo Geo arcade machine. That new bezel there is new because as I was going, the actual whole machine tipped and the monitor flew through the glass and basically blew it up. So I had to repair it, but here we are. This is my Neo Geo arcade machine. It fits perfect underneath this little drop ceiling. I mean, runs slick, of course. 2 players. One of my favorite parts of my collection. It's actually, I got it for myself for my when I turned 32 years ago, for my, just kind of birthday present to myself. I've always wanted one, and I have a multi-cart in it, as well as a couple other cartridges that I own. Always Godzilla sitting on top with all of my lanyards from different conventions I've gone to, along with a Working Designs promo that I love, that I've always hung off one of the lanyards. But I did kind of mix it up now, because I have this little table here. So I have the 2 standees in my collection, Doom Eternal and Ark the Lad. I have them sit on top of my Virtual Boy in the case and a whole bunch of Dunkaroos. And this is pretty much where I just keep a couple little knickknacks. The rare Jones sodas from Video Game World, the Nuka-Cola Quantum and the Elixir for Final Fantasy 15. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of the Neo Geo corner. I have a bunch of friends who like to come by. They love fighting games, play this. Me personally, I love playing Neo Turf Masters, but I'm a glutton for awesome music, which that game has a ton of. But that said, if you're gonna get one arcade machine, and it's not those arcade one-ups, I'm not going to talk about my views on those here, but if you're going to get one arcade machine, unless you really are a fan of a specific machine like a Pac-Man or something, I can highly recommend the Neo Geos. They're obviously gorgeous, but also they have the ability to swap out the games with cartridges, because that's how they run. And because of that, they actually have that bootleg, 171 games in one. I know it's not original to everything, but I mean, hell, all those games on here straight out the gate, pretty awesome. Definitely something that I love in my collection, and once again, I highly recommend a Neo Geo arcade for anyone trying to add that to their game. I feel like I'm going to say this a whole bunch, but this is one of my favorite shelves in the collection, and there's a very specific reason. The shelf itself, I mean, obviously I love all the games on here, but the shelf itself is very near and dear to me. This was the first shelf I ever had in my first game room, and I'm going to say game room with quotes, because my first game room wasn't even the one I showed at the beginning of the video. Before that, my first house when I lived in Texas, it was a 2-bedroom house, and my guest room, which is the second bedroom, doubled as the game room, and this was the only shelf in there. And as you can see, it is different than everything else, right? Everything else I bought from a store, some kind of shelf, and I'll get into that when we go further down the line. But this shelf is handmade. I bought the wood myself, I stained it, nailed it all together, a lot of, measure twice, cut once situation, but I made this specifically for the games I had at the time, and that's why when you're looking at it, everything fits in just right. And you'll see when I start panning through, showing off some of the games on here, what I did to store them, and then also, why did I make some weird cases for games that are, so lame. And like I said, it's because this is the shelf that started it all, and this is the shelf that basically, it was my collection of games I had growing up. So because of that, there's some weird suspect games on here. I mean, there's a whole lot of bangers, but then there's Beavis and Butthead for the Super Nintendo. Anyway, let's check out what's actually on this thing. So going top down, I have a lot of my cool Sega Saturn stuff at the top. I have those virtual twin sticks, a light gun, 2 light guns actually, both in the box. The boring American one and the super cool Japanese one. I don't know why we didn't get art like that, but hey, what are you gonna do? Then starting at the top, like I said, I custom made the shelf to fit my needs. So I had it for long boxes. So I have all of my Sega Saturn games, including some cool ones I've gotten from friends or custom made ones, like the Symphony of the Night that we did not get in America. This was actually made, and I showed it off on the channel a while ago. But yeah, I mean, these are my Saturn games, and I go a little bit further into my Sega CD games. Some stuff that stands out, maybe Snatcher. But then going down, I'd go into my Game Boy stuff, and now this is cool. So, Game Boy Advance games. The way I have done these is I got DS cases that have the Game Boy Advance slot, and I custom printed art for them. So, and I did the same thing with my Neo Geo Pocket Color, and then all the way over to Game Boy Color and Game Boy. So these things are very, very cool. They have room for the manuals if you happen to have them. I mean, I can just take one out for you real quick. Oops, sorry. And show you kind of how I did it. So you just got your DS case. Hard to do this one-handed. And there you go. Got your manual in there, you got your game on top, and that's basically how all these are set up. And then you can easily put them up here for collector's sake. Going down, of course, much easier. You have the 3DS and DS games because, well, you know, they came cased already, along with the rest of my Game Boy Advance stuff, including all my favorite Mega Man games. I love Battle Network, like I said. There is every one of them. Even though I have the boxes on the shelf, I still made these cases for all of them. Below that, of course, perfectly fit is my PS1 collection. This isn't every PS1 game I have, but this is like a bunch of bangers, a bunch of really good stuff. Anyway, once again, they fit right in. If you're wondering what this is, so I have Mega Man Legends 1, 2, and Tron Bond. Those are, you know, another one of my favorite series. This is a Mega Man Legends 3 project fan game. They made like 50 copies of it. It's free online, but they made a physical copy, so you know I had to get it. But anyway, after I did that, that's when the Universal Game cases come in. So all my Super Nintendo, a lot of my Sega games I don't have original cases for, and a lot of my NES games, I've used these Universal Game cases. They are very, very slick. So you can go to a website like the Cover Project and print out the art. So this is what it would look like, you know. And so rather than just have a loose cartridge on my shelf, I basically have this. It holds the game very nicely, clamshell design, nice plastic, and you can put it right on the shelf, spine sticks out. I mean, if you have it complete in box, awesome, but if you have Chrono Trigger complete in box, you probably have way more money than I have. Anyway, I did the same thing with my NES games that I really kind of cared for. So I have, you know, all the Castlevanias over there, is the rest of my Super games. And then one thing I really like is on the Cover Project, sometimes they do variation art. And as a big Mega Man fan, I don't know if you know, but the original Mega Man games, 1 through 6, on the Famicom were all colored. So somebody went through and made it to where all the spines line up to spell Mega Man, but they're actually the colors of the original Famicom games. So if you didn't know, now you do. The first one was blue, the second one was kind of that pink, then green, yellow, orange, purple. Following that, of course, I have the Marios and then a handful of 64 games. The rest of my 64 games are a little bit further down, which I'll show you in a moment. And then I just roll right into the old PS2. From PS2, I kind of follow that out for the most of the way, because like I said, this is what I had growing up. So I had the PS2 growing up, and then rather than PS3, that's when I switched over to the 360, which is how I round out this shelf. Now, below the shelf, I have those like video game drawers. I have quite a few of them, actually. A couple 64 ones and a Super Nintendo one. But this is where I have a lot of my Nintendo 64 games, mainly because I don't have the space on here for any more Universal Game cases, but then also for convenience. It's actually kind of funny, even though you can't see it and I don't have those end labels, there is a method to this. These are all multiplayer games, these are all single player games. So it's just a little thing I do to make sure I know where to look if I need to go find, WCW versus NWO. I'm not digging over, what the hell game is it? I at least can narrow it down to a side. But yeah, so like I said, this is a shelf that I really, really love because I love the fact that everything fits perfect. And that was, of course, by design. That said, building this myself, staining it, and getting the wood, even if you take my labor and headache out of it, it was way more expensive than anything else. Wood is just expensive, and I built this thing 7 years ago, or maybe even longer. So now with wood prices even crazier, I can't imagine what it would cost to build something like this. So going from my handmade shelf to these shelves, if you saw in my last game room tour last year in my smaller game room, all these shelves were actually all over the different parts of it. So those three in the corner were the three that I would always use as the backdrop for my videos. And then this big one right here with all the collector's editions and the lights was actually over by my old school consoles, and that was the Switch shelf. And then I had these two smaller shelves that are on either side of that, were kind of used lining the door to the small bathroom down there. Because I have so much room here, and it looks awesome, I did the old school library effect, just big wall of shelf going all the way to the corner around. So because of that, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of panning to explain what's going on. But I will say that if you want something like this for your game room, also very, very cheap. I will say it's kind of hard to get now, but still very cheap when you can. These are all Ikea shelves, and they're the Billy bookshelves, and the ones that are really tall have a one shelf extension on top. They're very reasonably priced. The only problem right now, and I only know this because one of my good friends tried to get some recently, is like they're out of stock everywhere, but you can buy them online and get them delivered to your house if there's an Ikea near you, which is pretty nice. But I love these shelves for my collection. I will say, however, and I'll point this out again when I get down to it, really, really, really heavy stuff will make the wood bow. This isn't real wood. Like, the shelf I built is real wood. The thing is strong. The thing is going to take anything. These shelves, however, are particle board, just like those Target shelves I have. So particle board is basically, imagine if you threw a bunch of wood into a blender and turned it into pulp and then pressed it together and made some kind of particly board. There you go. So when you add a lot of weight to it, there's no tensile strength there. So because of that, the shelves will flex. I've actually seen many YouTubers who like to sit in front of their shelves and do videos. You can look behind them, maybe a lot of guidebooks are on a shelf, and you kind of see the shelves doing that. You want to avoid that. But that said, with something like this, personally, and you'll see this when I'm going through the shelves individually, I love to break up the games with like some collector's editions or something else. So it's not just a solid wall of squares, you know, you got a bunch of games, then maybe some collector's editions, then some more games, then maybe like a statue. But that's just me. Anyway, let's go through and check out everything that's on this behemoth. So I've kept the spirit of what these shelves originally were, but I have modified them now that they're all together. Originally, these two skinny shelves on either side were more of like, you know, different weird stuff because they weren't even near this big shelf, which is my original Switch shelf. But now I've kind of blended them all together. So starting with the Switch shelf, you have a lot of my collector's editions, right? That's actually what this shelf mainly is. So a lot of really cool stuff from limited run games or big box official Nintendo releases. Then going down, I have even some imports, like I imported the European version of Link's Awakening. Of course, I have other limited run game style games. And then going down, I have even more imported big box special editions, like the Xenoblade Definitive Edition that came with the vinyl record. That giant Capcom Beat 'em Ups bundle. Speaking of giant, a huge Streets of Rage 4. Going over here, I have that giant Daemon X Machina Orbital Edition that came from Europe, Australia specifically. The Mega Man box set. I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's the 5-in-1 special box. This was Japan only, and it's actually the only way to physically get all of the Mega Man collection. Because if you know, here in America, a lot of those were digital only, just, you know, you had to download it off the cartridge. Then going down, we have just my standard Switch games, and some, you know, it's a good mix. I have them in ABC order. I keep all my games in ABC order, except for the collector's editions, because that's more for, you know, size and availability. But I even have some imports in here and some other cool stuff, you know, different limited run type games. There's too much to go through as far as how many games I have here. I'm obviously a big Switch fan. And then straight into more collector's editions. Some of these being, actually this is mainly NIS ones, but there are some limited run ones in here as well. Then going down here, I have like my really, really nice NIS America ones, including like the Ease games and that SNK 40th, which is really cool. More collector's editions as you go through. Night Trap, Crosscode, Blasphemous, the Octopath Traveler Big Box, which I was really excited to get. I got this Starlink a long time ago, and you know, it's like I got it mainly just because it had the little R-Wing in it, but I think I got it at like a Best Buy on Black Friday for like $10. Then of course the Windjammers Collector's Edition that comes with the big Frisbee, and then of course we have more and more collector's editions for Switch games. I have the Japanese import of Sonic Mania, which came with the soundtrack. I have the American version of the Link's Awakening big box, just because, you know, why not? I don't know why, but I do. But then, like I said, this is where I start blending stuff. So this was initially just a Switch shelf, but now it's kind of, I have a very small Sony collection as far as PS3 on. So I have PS3, my few PS4 games, most of which are collector's editions for Kingdom Hearts and Ratchet and Clank and Earth Defense Force, to tell you the truth. And then, of course, my PSP games, including my 2 PSPs and a couple more PS4 games. Down here, I have all my amiibos that aren't on those other shelves that are themed. I don't buy many amiibos, I'm not going to lie, but I usually typically buy amiibos for things I really, really care about. Like, you know, I'm a huge King of the Fighters fan, so I had to get Terry. And then here's some cool Zelda amiibos. But a couple other things on this shelf that I didn't show off was this thing takes up a whole spot by itself, and that's the Ni no Kuni 2 Collector's Edition. Shout out to this game, not the game specifically, but this Collector's Edition, because when my channel had 200 subs, I bought 2 of these from GameStop for 30 bucks each. That's one of them. And the other one, I did a giveaway, and my freaking channel increased by like, I don't know, like 150 subs because of the giveaway. So shout out to Ni no Kuni 2. And then the last but not least thing I want to show up here is I have been collecting the Neo Geo Limited Run game, big box games, since they started, and I have every single one of them. Windjammers, of course, is an actual MVS game, but these are all PS4, and I have all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then over here, all the way to 15. I don't know if they're going to make any more. I sure hope they do. That would be amazing. But, you know, if you've never seen all of them, they're all right here. These are all the ones they made. If they make a Neo Turf Masters, it would be very, very awesome for me. But anyway, let's keep going further down the line. So these shelves are where some theming starts coming in. I kind of have some varied collector's editions up here for games I really like: Bravely Default, Bravely Second, the big box version of Cyberbots for the Sega Saturn. Have a cool little PlayStation display up here. And then over here, I have just a couple box games that just happen to fit good, including my Nintendo import Char Gamecube, which I've actually taken out of the box, and you'll see it a little bit later. Anywho, down here I have some games I'm a huge fan of, the Dot Hack series. I have every Dot Hack game conceivable. I've also pre-ordered the one that's coming out soon for the Switch, which is also the GU collection, like the PS4 version there, as well as some other just collector's editions of other games that I happen to like, happen to have. That weird box there is actually a special Onimusha 3 memory card that is Japanese only. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know I'm a huge Final Fantasy 4 or 2, whatever you want to call it, fan. This is more or less every version of that game. There's a couple more on the next shelf, but like I said, we're going with theming here. So continuing from Final Fantasy, I have my Final Fantasy shelf. I have the soundtrack for 4, the Steelbook for the 7 remake, Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts version of Cloud, every PlayStation game. So if you notice there wasn't any Final Fantasies on my other shelf, that's why. If you notice there wasn't any Game Boy Advance games for Final Fantasy, it's because I have them all boxed. And then just continuing on some more Final Fantasy stuff. So going down, this is one of my favorite shelves ever because of what I've done here. And this is my Sega Saturn kind of Dreamcast area. So I have a bunch of import Saturn games. If you don't know, you can play imported Saturn games with just a memory card plus in it. And then I have, you know, just a couple weird little figures, some odds and ends here, but I have this thing. So I actually did a video recently about different ways to store your games, but this is a laser line case that I have put a Dreamcast logo on. This is not official. This is something I made myself, but I have all my Dreamcast games in here, and you know, I got some pretty good ones in here. You know, Sonic Adventure, just did a video about that, but I got Power Stone 1 and 2. There's some cool stuff in here, Cannon Spike, Glass Blade. But I love this thing. I love that how it works. So if you want a game, you just kind of grab one of these little buttons, press it, and it pops out for you. How nice. Put it back in. And I have another one of these that I'll show you later on for NES. But continuing on, like I said, I like to break it up. So I just kind of have some weird knickknacks here. I got a Game Boy printer, a whole bunch of soundtracks, all Japanese, and then some cool collector's edition versions of different games. The Mega Man X and the Street Fighter and the Mega Man 2 are all those like numbered re-releases that came out recently. And then going on, I have my other laser line case I was talking about for Nintendo. So I have one without the door and one with a door. So I'm not going to open this because this is what it looks like when it's open. Same type thing though. Press the button, game pops out. Pretty cool. And then I have a couple of boxed NES and 64 games. Nothing really fancy. I mean, the Dragon Warrior games are pretty cool. This is actually Dragon Warrior 4. I forget what game this is, but that's Dragon Warrior 4 just to keep that line going. And I have a whole bunch of manuals that I need to either get boxes for or something of that nature. Continuing down, this is probably one of my most famous shelves. I've had it on the channel many times. People have asked about it. I've done videos about it. This is my working designs shelf. So I have a working designs collection that is almost complete. This is every single game from PS1 up for sure, including 2 homemade fan-made games, Dragon Force 2 and Thunder Force 5, which of course didn't come out here, but someone made these cool working designs versions of them. The other 3 games I have 3 of the, I think it's 6 games for the TurboGrafx, and you saw those earlier in that shelf that I made. But then once again, breaking up the monotony of games, I have a signed Nintendo Power from Captain Nintendo himself. And like I said earlier, I had to do something cool with that GameCube, so I took it out. As a friend of mine 3D printed this display for me, so I have this GameCube, my awesome Char imported GameCube, Gundam GameCube, kind of floating there next to the Nintendo Power, the signed Nintendo Power. I think that's awesome. This thing is really cool. You know, I don't know if they sell them on Etsy or something. Like I said, a coworker of mine made it for me. But anywho, if I haven't alluded to it enough, I'm a huge Mega Man fan. So I decided that I needed a Mega Man shelf. All sorts of stuff on here, from Battle Network to original Mega Man X. I'm a big fan of Legends, of course. This is actually like an official, like legit Mega Man X complete in box. You know, not like that reproduction, or I guess reprint. It's not really reproduction. Capcom did make it. But anyway, that's just my Mega Man shelf. But then we do, as we get lower, get back to the standard games. So here, like I said earlier, I like to keep everything in ABC order. So I have my very limited but still solid GameCube collection. And then from GameCube, I don't know why I did this. I went into Wii U first. I probably should have gone into the Wii, but I only have like 6 Wii U games. And then I go into the Wii, which once again I have, I don't know, like 12 Wii games. All games I really like though. Straight from there into regular Xbox. Xbox then of course goes into Xbox One because the 360 was on the other side. And like I said, when I start off, I like to do personally all my steelbooks and stuff first. I keep everything in ABC order, but I go ahead and do the steelbooks first, kind of get them out of the way, and then keep rolling all the way to the end. And that's kind of why it goes into the PlayStation stuff. It all wraps together now, right? And then the only last shelf of games I haven't shown you is my Sega collection. So for the most part, these are all original cases, except for the odd and end Universal game case I had to make because, you know, I didn't have a case for said game. Lost World and Castlevania being one of them. Castlevania being one of them because that game is one of the ones that only came out with cardboard. So the bottom shelf is something I'm a huge fan of, and something I talked about earlier, and that is guidebooks. I love guidebooks. I love the art in them. But when you're getting these Billy bookshelves, always use basically the bottom shelf to go through and check everything out there, because they have this extra support on the bottom because it's the bottom of the shelf and they won't flex. Because guidebooks are heavy. Like these books, I had to put them in several boxes because, I mean, you know, it's not that they wouldn't fit in a box, but I just couldn't carry the damn things because they weigh so much. So if you're going to get the Billy bookshelves or any particle board style shelf, make sure that you try to put your guidebooks on the bottom and make them supported, or put them kind of few and far between. So like I said, I really like how this turned out because it just becomes one big wall of just entertainment. I mean, it's a work of art for me anyway. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's one of those things where when I saw that I could get all the shelves together and kind of do that library effect, I had to try it out. And when I put all the shelves up there, I was like, yeah, this is going to work. The hardest part, of course, is organizing everything and trying to figure out what goes where. But I think when it's all said and done and you kind of get this kind of big wraparound, you get that cool wow factor. Like this shelf here is lit up. That actually, those lights also came from Ikea. So pretty much from here on, it's all Ikea stuff. So, you know, the quality's decent for the price. I'm not going to lie. But you do get some really cool advantages in the fact that you get a lot of space. It's very reasonably priced. And, you know, it just looks really crisp and really slick. So when you have a collection like mine, you end up getting a bunch of extra cool consoles, but you don't have a way to hook up everything, right? I mean, like, God, if you're talking just main console generation, that's like 8, 9, 10 consoles. So when you have weird stuff like that JVC XI, the Super Nintendo Mini, and a Famicom, the only thing you can do is get another TV, and well, I happen to have a Sharp NES TV in my collection. If you don't know what a Sharp NES TV is, I've actually done a video on mine, but more or less, it is a TV with a built-in Nintendo. Let me zoom in over here. You open this thing up, and it has the game inside. All of the buttons and things are all right here. It is slick as hell. So with this little area, I kind of hooked up my extra consoles, like I said, some of my weird oddities, like the XI is one that really stands out, but really even the Famicom Disk System, as well as a Wii, because I have a Wii U hooked up to my other TV, which I'll show in a moment. But, the other cool thing with this is I got to display some of my other weird stuff, like my Power Glove and my big Nintendo Deluxe set box. I have it on top. So that Power Glove works and is fully functional. That weird thing you see on top of the TV, if you've never seen it, that's actually the receiver for the Power Glove. So it does work with this thing, and the coolest thing about this TV is it has these special black controllers, which are really hard to get, and I actually have 2 of them, which is also very, very rare. One of them came with the TV when I got it. The other one actually came from a viewer on the channel. That was a while ago, right when the channel started. I was doing a video about the Framemeister. I made some cool profiles and I kind of explained it. Someone reached out to me asking for help. I helped him out, and as a thank you, they sent me that. I tried my best to say, please, you don't need to worry about it, but they were having none of that. That said, this is kind of like my first step of the retro area. I kind of go retro, modern, retro. So that said, let's go over to the modern spot of my game room. So you almost have to stand back to see this whole dang thing. But as you can see, I have a big flat screen, modern flat screen on the wall. And the way I have this set up is I have all of my modern consoles below it, basically stuff that uses HDMI. So I have the Xbox One X and my Switch directly plugged into the TV. But then I have the Neo Geo X, a PS3, and some other stuff down there, VCR, some other what have yous, all hooked into an HDMI switcher that can all go into that. So I have one more piece of the puzzle is my retro consoles, which I'll show in a second. And all of those are running through a switcher that runs into a Framemeister. So if I want to, I can play stuff like my Sega, my Dreamcast, my Saturn, all on this big TV, which is very, very convenient. But the other thing here is I have a surround sound. You can't see it because it's in there, but I have a surround sound hooked up to it that actually goes through the TV's audio. So whatever's playing on the TV will pop out in surround sound. And of course, that means that I can now play Sega Saturn games in surround sound, which is nice. Or at least, simulated surround sound. The other thing that I will note to this area is obviously I have the Series X. And yeah, I did get the Series X fridge. The thing's kind of cool, though. It holds a 12-pack, and it also has a USB port on it for charging. So, what are you going to do? It's a fun time. So the last gaming part of my game room is, of course, not complete without having a setup like this, and that is all of my retro consoles, and then my CRT TV. I actually have a Sony Trinitron Wega. This thing is awesome. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video soon, though, because for Christmas, I recently asked for a lot of HD Retrovision cables for all these consoles, and I am still waiting for the switcher to come in. Right now, it's really hard to get parts and pieces, so it's actually been in the process of being made since October. It should be coming in the next coming weeks, though, and oh my god. So I've actually hooked them up individually, and it's amazing. So I cannot wait to do the video on that. That said, currently I'm just using a little AV switch, not a big deal, but it does get the job done. I have all these consoles hooked up at the same time. I just switch little buttons, click, 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 and they pop up on the screen. If I have it plugged in the Framemeister, they obviously pop up on that screen. But when I get the new switcher, it's actually automatic. So I cannot wait to show that off, and will as soon as it comes in. One thing I want to show off real quick, just because I showed it off before, I'm a big fan of pins. I love collecting pins. If you guys have any cool pins, let me know in the comments down below. I love them. I collect them all the time. I got a bunch of Disney stuff, Universal, stuff from video games, games done quick. And my wife made me this cool pin board that wraps around any door. and that's what I have put all these cool guys on. It's just something I really like, something I really enjoy. You know, it's kind of gaming adjacent. Some of the stuff is anyway. But that said, I think everyone should have a fun pinboard. Now, this last part is something that really excites me. If you've seen in my old videos or noticed, I used to have a monitor on the ground next to my original computer, and then last year I built that new computer. And all my editing was done like that, hunched over, looking at nothing. Now, I have a legitimate studio. So, one thing I finally got to do is I finally got to get all my guitars and music stuff out. So I am a big music guy. I play 9 instruments. So I have my amps, all 4 of my guitars. I have a couple other instruments in the closet, but I have my piano. This is some of my favorite stuff here too. My fan art. Oh my God. Shout out to the people who made some awesome fan art for my channel. If you make fan art and you want to make something for my channel for whatever reason, I will frame it and put it in my game room. That's a promise. But anyway, for the first time ever, I have an actual legitimate workspace, and it is amazing. I have my computer, I have my mic right here. Obviously you have seen this room many times recently because this is where I've been doing all my videos from, but I can do all my work here. I can edit and everything very easily. I can stream stuff and have a TV to play the games on. I have a separate switch dock in here all ready to go with controllers. This is my unboxing area. Very convenient. I usually have another mic right there, but I'm using it for this video right now, so it's not hooked up. And of course I have my pedal board that integrates straight into my computer for if I need to record any music or anything. But my God, this is such a game changer for me. I mean, this room alone, I have not had anything like this ever in my life. And the cool thing is it doubles like for work. You know, like if I need to work from home or something, I can hook my work laptop straight into this and do that as well. But I'm telling you, it is all the difference being able to actually sit down in an actual chair and not hunch over and stare at a screen that's on the floor. Or if I want to just sit down, play some music. It is awesome. Some of the stuff that I did incorporate from my old game room is my wife made this magnetized kind of blackout curtain because there's like a window there. Don't like light getting in while I'm working. But yeah, I mean, just the idea of having my own home office where I can edit videos and stream stuff, it has been a huge game changer. And quite frankly, it's one of my favorite parts of the game room. I mean, yeah, the game room's awesome. But my God, just being able to sit down and like work and edit like without breaking my neck is amazing. So that's my new game room. Man, I was so hyped when I bought this house. Like I went down, the first thing I did, in fact, it was the first thing I considered with any house I was looking at last year before I bought this place was, is there gonna be a room where I could have all my stuff? A me space, a cool game space, hopefully with an office, which I got, and just somewhere where I could work on my stuff, play my games, relax, and hang out. And I got it. I mean, I love this place. I love everything I got to do with it. I love the space. It just feels so aired out. It was funny. I've actually started reviewing some of the footage from my old game room that I'm using in this video. And, you know, I thought my last game room was amazing. And it was. It was great. But like after looking at it, it was so small, and you don't realize, you know, you don't realize till you have a space like this. But hey, tell me what you guys think down below. If you like any of the ideas I spat out, hopefully you get some good use out of them. Like I said, it's stuff that I've done in my game room, obviously, and stuff I've done in my last game room. But you know, if there's any cool tips you want, if you saw anything that I maybe didn't talk about or didn't touch on, let me know, because I definitely will. I'll get back with you and let you know maybe something I did or whatever. Or if you have any awesome ideas, let me know, because you know what? Let's share some knowledge here. Let's spread the wealth, right? You know, there's all sorts of stuff that I don't know. I know I don't know it, and I don't know what I don't know. And so, you know, hey, that's gonna do it for us today. Once again, thank you for watching. I'm sure this is gonna be a long video. I haven't started editing it yet, but we'll see. We'll see what goes down. I hope you guys got something out of it. I definitely enjoyed sharing this room with you guys. I enjoyed sharing my ideas. If you haven't subscribed, please do. That would be awesome. It's not like I do a game room tour every day, but I do awesome stuff on the channels. In fact, I also take requests, so if you ever want me to do a video on anything you saw today, I'll do it. Why not? Throw in the comments. I don't care. I mean, unless it's like a horrible idea that's like really offensive or something. But hey, that said, My friends, take it easy.